Good morning. I'm on a little bit early today because I was just testing this and trying to see if it worked, because last week I had a few problems, a few technical hitches. So I'm glad that I'm able to be on today. Good morning. Good morning everyone. And thank you so much for joining. I hope you can hear me. If you could please just tell me in the chat that hi, we can hear you, then that's great. Good morning. That's great. Thank you so much, Joyce and Pauline. Thanks, Becky. That's great. Good morning. I'm here at our Tulia office in Coventry. My name is Rumbi, and I'm continuing on Immigration Fridays today, talking about all things about children and answering any questions that you have. So please tag a friend, please share this video, please like it, please comment in the chat and interact with me so that I know that you are there. Good. How has been your week? I hope you guys are all having a great week. And you're all good. If you could also just let me know in the chat as well where you are, so I know as well the type of questions that I'm going to address and issues. I've got a couple of questions which I'll start off, and then any other questions in the chat I'll be able to respond to those. So I am a bit early today, but I know some people are going to watch this on replay or later on, so I'm just gonna fire away introduce myself. My name is Rumbi Avunzawabaya. I am the CEO and founder of Tulia, which is an organization that provides advice, immigration advice and assistance to migrants of African origin who are living in the UK. We're based in Coventry, but we support people all over the UK. And one of the reasons that we are doing these live chats about migration is because we support people to deal with the impact of migration. And one of the things that we've seen is the massive impact on children. We always say that this new wave of immigrants who are coming now from all over the world can learn from our mistakes. So some of us, we made mistakes. When we came, we did things without really knowing, but you guys have the benefit of hindsight. You've got the benefit of learning from us, learning from our mistakes, and atidikuti vanwakuya vaite the same mistakes that we made, because you have to learn from your elders, from us, the more mature ones who came here years and years ago. We came here early 2000s, 98, and we made a lot of mistakes. So you guys are, whoever is coming now, or when you're bringing your family, because I know a lot of people are bringing their families. There's so many agencies in the UK bringing people now, which is exciting. And it's nice that people are able to come. There's so many people who are nurses who are coming, accountants, actuaries, pharmacists, engineers, teachers. So many people are migrating, and it's good. And as I spoke last week, we received a question, which is the question that I'm going to answer today, and just try and address those issues. So somebody said, is it worth it for my children to come to the UK? Should I leave them at home and just come to work? And I've heard that in the UK, many of the children end up in the system or in gangs. Please help. Is it worth it to come there? My relatives are willing to help me, but I'm not sure. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. My relatives are willing to help me, but I'm not sure. And that is the case where some people are not sure because they've got their lives in Zim, their children may be at critical ages in their education, it might not be the right time, because sometimes we have this fear of missing out. We want to do it, we think it will finish, we make decisions hastily, and we make decisions without thinking them through. And sometimes when somebody asks a question, the relatives would probably, like the person who asked me this question, their relatives said to them, you can't be helped, because they had concerns about their children, and they had valid concerns about their children's education, about their relationships. So when we make these decisions, I think it's good to ask questions. I think it's really good to understand what you're doing, because those same people that we might push and pressurize to say, come, it's better for you economically, it's better for your life, when their relationships fall apart. And so when a person makes a decision, it's important for people to be able to have all the information that they need and to be able to make informed decisions. I remember when we came to England, and I often just joke about this, that my son says, mamusna kurongeka, you guys, you know, because we left him, I breastfed at the airport. He was 9 months. I breastfed and left him at the airport to come here. And how can you win a child and just go to another country and leave them? It just, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's tatisna kufunga, or, you know, we were in a rush. There were certain things that we wanted to achieve and wanted to do, and so we did it. But we learn, we live and we learn. So I think it's important for people to avoid those type of mistakes, and it's so good that those people who are coming as skilled workers are coming with their children, with their spouses at one time. So that's what I would say. As much as you can, come together with your children. So today we're talking about migrating, the impact on children, how to make decisions that are good for the children as to when to come to the UK and when to migrate. Right, so I'm answering that question. Is it worth for my children to come? In short, I would say definitely it's worth it for your children to come with you. The UK is a great place for prospects for your children. So if your children do well in school, they can take advantage of university, and there's no other place that is good for a child than to be with their parents. That's the best place for your child to be, is to be with you. So I would say definitely when you're making your plans, factor in bringing your children, because leaving them behind can expose them to so many things. I've been working in immigration since 2005 and in private practice from 2008. And the impact on children that we see and we've seen, it's so devastating. Some of the children who were left behind, some had very good experiences, but many didn't. You know, some children were exposed to abuse. Some children just didn't have any attachment to their parents. They were angry because they felt rejected. Some of the children were left with relatives who were cruel to them. I remember speaking to one child where the relatives would, you know, receive money, but they wouldn't give them. The children just had no connection with their parents, and there's no substitute for anyone else than, except if your parents are bad, abusive parents. I know there's exceptions, but generally speaking, parents are the best people to bring up their children. So when you make that decision, you could see, are we going to go and work in the UK, or is my relative coming? Definitely encourage them to come with their children and their spouses at the same time, if they can, if the spouses want to come, or sometimes if the spouses don't want to come. So encourage people to come together. Because we've seen that it causes a lot of problems. But when you're making those decisions, think about my pitfalls, the things that can happen, like So I know I've got some people who listen who are not Zimbabwean. So I speak English, I speak Shona. Those are the two languages that I'm fluent in. And sometimes I slip into Shona because that's how I naturally speak. But obviously I'll speak in a language that everyone can understand. But it's instinct that I slip into Shona sometimes. So yeah, that's just the way I think a lot of us communicate. So for people with small children, because people have got children who are different ages. So when I was thinking about this question, is it worth for my children to come to the UK? I was thinking of the different ages. So, you know, there's small children from birth up to 10. They're going to school, they need a lot of childcare. So when you're making those decisions, think about it, about childcare. Childcare, marwadzo. Childcare is expensive and it's difficult. You know, we don't have the luxury of maids here. We don't have the luxury of family who are able to just look after the children. We have to do it ourselves in the households. And we do some support for couples, married couples, and we found that when people migrate, that's one of the biggest shifts is in this household work that we've got to do by ourselves. So you've got to go to work, you've got to do the house chores, you've got to look after the children, you've got to do the childcare, you've got to do it all. So when you've got small children, it's better to have both parents because then monochinjana. When we first came here with my husband, we used to taichinjana. One would work nights, one would work day when the children were small. And then we would see each other at the door. We would swap our boy. One parent coming in, one parent going out. I remember my husband used to do nights at Tesco. I used to take the buggy he used to take the pram to Tesco, and then I would come from my shift at the nursing home, go and pick up our son from the Tesco whilst he starts his night shift, and I would then take our son home. In the morning, he would come home in the morning, and we would meet each other at the door. And that's the type of life that you can live sometimes because you're trying to look after the kids, you're trying to go to work. So when you're two, it really does help because you can work around each other. And one of the things about living in the UK with children is, and if you are married, it's teamwork makes the dream work because you've got to work together to make it work. So it's something that you have to agree on and know before you even come, Kuti, how are we going to navigate these things, looking after the children? How do you feel about it? Because you've got to be able to reach a point where you both understand what you're getting into and you buy into it. Because sometimes something is good for you, but perhaps if you don't process what you're going to be doing, the challenges, when you come and meet them, it can be something that you come here for a better life financially, but your relationships end up being destroyed over simple things like housework, simple things like knowing that we all have to chip in. And so working together as a team is the best way to be able to look after children. That's number one. If you're a single mom, you can work around with your friends. You know, there's nothing that's impossible. You can work around with your friends. You can work around with other colleagues who you're working with. You can change your shift patterns. You form relationships with others so that you can work around each other and help each other so that you can be able to go to work. So for us, when we're raising our kids, we swapped each other. We had a friend who had a mother who was here, and her mom vakamboti chovesa for about 3 years. She helped us. We had another lady in Coventry who looked after lots of children in Coventry. We used to send our kids to her, my Frank, and she looked after our kids. So we found ways to be able to work together. We found ways to be able to help each other. So it's not impossible. It's very, very possible. But it's just finding what works for you in your situation. Another type used to be au pairs from the EU. Young people who wanted to learn English and live with the family. So they would live with you and help you with childcare. When you go to work, they're there with the kids. It worked for some people, and it's something that does work. But could you reduce? Sorry. Oh yeah, thank you. So it worked for. So we've got another meeting going on. So I just wanted them to reduce the volume. So it worked for other people, but now we've got Brexit. So my au pairs are no longer coming in, so that's not an option. But tier 5, there's a youth mobility scheme. So there's young people who can come from certain countries: Australia, Canada, Japan, Monaco, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and Korea, and Taiwan. So you could advertise for young people who come from those countries, because they're grateful for a place to stay, and then they can help you with childcare. Another thing you can do is people on a student visa. If you look for students, foreign students, like if you work nights, they can be there. If you have a foreign student who can then look after the kids, they stay in your house, you pay them a little something, and they help you. So there's ways around it. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And you mix and match whatever works. I was telling you guys that we had to work as a team, help each other. Then we ended up having au pairs, and then we had a family member who lived with us for a while. Then we had our friend's mom. Then we had our wonderful my Frankie. So there's all of these things that that help. Hi Sandra. Yeah, Sandra, Irene says, thankfully you're covering my chores, and buy your wife a dishwasher, gentlemen. Hey, yeah, dishwashers help, washing machines, everything, any help is good. But one thing about England, when you're coming and you're married, here the men do everything. So they change the nappies for the children, they help with the dishes, they vacuum. We just have to work together, because everyone's working, everyone's coming home and they're tired. So if people are saying, I can't touch this, I can't do that, it won't work. And it just ends up building resentment and frustration. Even the children, they have to learn from a young age. Everybody has to chip in. I know I run a very tight ship, everyone helps. And that's how they've been raised, and everybody chips in, everybody cooks, everybody cleans. There's no distinction that these are boys, these are girls. Everybody has to work together, because that's the only way that it will work, when we all chip in. So yeah, that's very important, just to understand, Kuti, that's the way it is. I remember my mom, when she first came to visit, and she first came to visit us, and she saw her son-in-law in the kitchen. She called me. She said, Rumbi Zai. She said, Rumbi Zai. And then I thought, oh, somebody has died. I rushed. And then my mom said, Ndonyara nepi. How can you allow this to happen when I'm there? And she was so mortified, Kuti. I would let her son-in-law clean a plate, and she would rush. She couldn't walk, but I would see her walking to the sink, but so that she would show me how it's done. And we had to explain that, what, it's the life here. This is what we've got to do to make it work for all of us, because we don't have the benefit of help. So even with childcare, it's helping each other, it's working together, and using whatever is around, friends. You build families here. So you build community, you build people with children same age, so that you can work together, and it works. So don't be discouraged, don't be put off, don't be told, Chingova, just leave the kids, leave them. Don't be encouraged to do that. Sandra, Irene is somebody who's more well-versed in the impact on children and separation, because that's her job, and I'm sure she can tell us a lot about how it affects them. That those key periods in their lives when they're supposed to attach to their parents, it has such a long-term impact on them. And when they're just left in Zim, it can really affect them. So when you've got the opportunity and you can come together, please come together. Don't be like me. Airport. Don't be like me. Bring them at the same time and make those plans, even if it's just a few months when you come and settle, but don't leave it too long. Yeah. I think I've covered that. The other issue was where to live. Where do we get a job? So because we know that your relative has helped you and you are coming and they've put you in a place where maybe they've helped you to get a job, they've applied for you, they've helped you, and you're going to live in this place where the agency is. Maybe it's London, central London, or inner city, Birmingham, or anywhere. It doesn't really matter where you're working, right? But it's where you live. That's a key. So you can work wherever you get the job. That's okay. But try and find a place that you live and where the schools are, that's got lower crime rate, that doesn't have a lot of gang violence and stabbings, that doesn't have high rates of children who are not in education. Because when you're at work, your children will, so now I've moved on perhaps to children who are a bit older, from 10 to 16. So your children will spend most of their time at school, and when they come from school, they play with their friends. So where you live is really, really important. Where you live is really important, because if you're living in an area that's got high crime, that's got a lot of gang violence, that's known for being a place with a lot of gangs, then your children will have those peer influences which can then influence them along the right path. You can be getting as much money as possible, you can be living the life, but if your child is with the wrong people, it causes you so much stress, you won't enjoy it. London, shatter. This country will become bitter, because if you lose your children, it's just traumatic, It's too much. And here, I know in Zimbabwe there's a lot of challenges, but in Zimbabwe maybe it's a bit different. I don't know, because I haven't lived there for a long time, but I do know that there's a lot of peer support. There's communities and there's relatives, and you're able to help each other. But here, you can end up being isolated, living on your own with just maybe your work colleagues and people around you, and you don't have that big family support, or even church, like you could have even support from the church. So your children, it's important for you to place them in an environment which is good for them, an environment which is conducive for good learning, an environment where they are protected as much as you can, because God is the one who looks after children, but you as a parent can make decisions which are good. So look up the areas and do research, even with your family who are bringing you here. Do research, because this person who asked me the question said, I heard in UK many of the children end up in the system or in gangs. Yes, there are children who end up in gangs. Yes, there are children who end up in the system. But yes, there are also very good children who graduate, children who are buying houses, children who are doctors, lawyers, accountants, architects. There's so many young people of Zimbabwean heritage, South African, Botswana, Zambia, who are doing, Nigeria, who are doing so well. There are lots of young people who are doing well, who have found opportunities here that have enabled them to live a good life. There are young children who have been educated here, who are opening up businesses, who are running businesses, who are YouTubers, we've got a Shingi Mararike who's on Sky News, a Zimbabwean child. There are others who are MPs in Parliament who've been educated in England. So it's not every child that comes and ends up in a gang. But there are some who end up in gangs, who end up in prison, who end up in care. That happens. So it's important for you to be aware that it happens. But then there's some people whose children have done well. How have they done it? What have they done? It's grace. And so and so they also have they also have they also have children who are children who end up being exploited sexually. There's so much that happens which is not good, but there's a lot that happens which is good. So there has to be a balance. And one of the things is being present for your children, being there, because there's always a temptation to work. The money here, it's sweet, it's nice, it can buy you things that you want, it can give you the life, and there's this I don't know what it is, but it makes you want more and more and more and more and more, and you can end up staying at work all the time. And when you do that, you end up neglecting your children, and depending on the area that you're living, they can then get those outside influences. So when you're coming and you guys have got the benefit of hindsight, the benefits of mistakes that we made. You know, when we first lived here, we lived where it was cheap, and we went to live in this place in Wolverhampton called Heath Town because it was cheap. There were council houses that you would get even before you get off the plane, and we used to pay £15 for gas and electric for the month, and our rent was so cheap. It was so cheap. So we all went to live there, but we didn't know that it was an area that was full of crime, drug dealers. It was a bad area. But we went to live there. You would come out of your house and you'd smell weed, and you know, it was just many of the young people there, they didn't go on to higher education, they were on benefits, and we took that house because it was cheap. But we didn't live there very long. We didn't raise our children there, but we stayed with the firstborn for a while. And if we had stayed, he would have probably ended up playing football with the kids, ending up, it would be the norm to go into drugs and things like that. So I encourage everyone to research on the area that you're going to live. Ask your relatives who are here to help you if you've got them. If you don't, speak to your agencies. There's so many groups on social media where people are talking about these things. Google, find out good areas, look at the crime rates. It's all there. The statistics are there. Look at the schools that are there. Check out their Ofsted reports. Ofsted, I might pop it in the chat. Ofsted reports, because those areas, I'll post a few. So on the Ofsted reports, they talk about the schools. Look for schools that are better, because they're very good state schools, they're very good schools, and then there are also schools which are just terrible schools. So don't send your children to the nearest school. Don't just send them somewhere just for the sake of it. Just because some of these schools, the kids don't even learn, because it's classroom management. The teachers are doing classroom management because the children are too naughty. My husband was a teacher, and I remember he was teaching in this school. He would just come home every day with a headache, because the kids, once they lit a fire in the classroom, and whilst he was teaching, they were lighting a fire. It was just horrific. So sometimes your children will go to a school where the teachers want to teach, but they can't really teach because they're trying to manage the naughty ones. So it's just the same as in Zimbabwe. There are good schools and there are bad schools. And so you guys, you know which are the good schools in South Africa, in Botswana, in Nigeria, everyone. It's the same here in England. So wherever you come from, there's good schools, there's bad schools. So it's important to know which are the good schools that are doing better, which are the better areas for you to live. You're not going to come from Africa and come and land up living in the equivalent of a really bad area which is full of drugs and things like that. That's a recipe for disaster. So you've got the benefit of hindsight, you've got the benefit of our experiences and our mistakes. So search for good areas. I'll post some of the links in the chat for you to look out for. So those are things that help you. Good schools, good neighborhoods. The balancing of things is, sometimes you might find that villages and outside of cities are better in terms of quality of education, quality of life, cost, behavior. You might find that those areas are better, but then you might have to deal, your children might have to then deal with another thing, racism or discrimination, because there's not that many black people living there. There are not that many migrants living in those areas. So you may find that your children have different challenges. And those are real challenges of being the only black child in the school, of being the only black child in the village, and being looked at strangely, or experiencing direct racism. So those are the challenges. And then it's important to be able perhaps to balance that out with encouraging your children to take part perhaps in a if you go to church, in a church that is has other people, even to travel to somewhere where they'll be able to meet other black people and be able to integrate with other people like them. And so you would have to try and balance. So it's also important to just be aware when the children come of the challenges that they're having, keeping open communication with them so that you know what they're going through and you know what challenges they're having and how they're feeling. And don't just say, you should be grateful that you're in England, or just don't be silly. Really validate what they're saying and then try and help them in those issues that they're experiencing. They will miss their friends, they will miss their relatives, they will miss the sun, they will miss the food. They will also struggle to integrate and to adjust and to acclimatize to a new country. So it's important to factor that in when you bring them and be able to support them in that transition. As much as you will also be struggling, they also have their own struggles. And so it's important for us as parents to validate that, to try and find ways to minimize that, to try and help them to make new friends, to build community. You guys, people who are coming are fortunate that there's already communities. There's churches like AFM, there's churches like Zayoja, there's churches which they're able to integrate into very well. So communities, please ask me some questions and just let me know you're listening and you're here. There's no chat in the chat. I just need to have some people telling me they're here. Thank you, Yvonne, that it's a good topic. That's great, thank you. So I've talked a lot, I've talked a lot about some of the things. I just done some quick notes just to make sure. So look at class, schools, area, class sizes, and the areas that you're living in. Try and get kids into grammar schools if you can. Look, when I look back at some of the decisions that I made, one of the things, I would have lived in an area with good grammar schools, because we ended up putting our children in private school because there were not many good state schools. So we ended up having to put them into private schools. The younger two, the older one went to a state school, and we had to support with extra lessons and just a lot of input. And I'm so glad, when I look at our firstborn, he's just amazing young man. He's done so well. He's doing his master's at University of Birmingham, which is a Russell Group university, a good university. He did his first degree at Keele and he passed that. He is a good son, a good boy. I'm very proud of him. But we to a trial and error. That child, we would just put him at any school. Where we lived, we put him there. And he went to 7 schools in his lifetime. 7 schools. And half the time he wasn't even taught. And we had to just try and support him the best we could. He's a hard worker. He's a determined young man. But we saw that the schools he went to, they were not good. One of them was put into special measures. It wasn't a good school. and he really, had a rough time because of we were still settling. The other two have been at the same school since they were grade 1, and their education journey has been very different, and so it's yeah, we all make mistakes, but we thank God for grace, because with the mistakes that we made, he could have come out a different child, but he's come out a good child. So I really I think home environment above everything else is also important. It's also important that keep your homes, don't chase after money. You never get enough. Don't chase after it, and the times that you have your children with you is for a limited time. So make sure that you're able to what? To invest in them in the time that you have them. So coming to England is great, but don't lose each other or lose your children in the process. One of the other questions that came is Zimbabwe boarding school versus UK state school. That was a question. Should we leave them in boarding and then come there and work? Got a boarding, and then we or should they come to school in the UK? That's a really big question. And some of the parents who are here in the UK are now sending their children back to boarding in Zimbabwe. So it depends on what stage your child is. It depends on what stage they are in their education. If they're writing their O levels, if they're at that stage, or if they're in that stage, then make a decision. Is it better to just and put them in a new environment? Is that best for them? Or is it better for them to finish their education in the same system but in a boarding school and then come here for holidays? And then they go back to boarding until maybe they reach A level. So each person needs to look at their situation and really think about it. Is it the best move for my child at this time? And your children, the situation that they're in. So I would encourage people to think about it that way, that is it the right time in their education? Is it going to affect their education? How is it going to affect their education? And then take it from there. That is it better? The boarding schools in Zimbabwe are great. So I think we shouldn't liken a Zimbabwe private boarding school to a UK state school, because that's not like for like. I think we should maybe liken a Zimbabwe boarding school to a private school here. But maybe the private schools, the boardings are more affordable. So if you can get better education for your children there, then let them. I was going to say allow it, because my kids, that's how they talk, allow it, fam. So let them learn in the boarding school there and then come here for holiday. But when you get your visas, apply for your children to come with you, but say that they're going to be educated in Zimbabwe. So don't not apply for the visa. Apply for the visa so that they've got the same visa as you. But when it's time for school, they can always go for their education in Zim and then come back here, or education in South, Lesotho, Swaziland, Botswana, wherever. And then they come here for holiday. And then when it's time to renew your visas, you take that into account. So I think that's a good way to do it. If you don't want to disrupt their education, if you don't want to disrupt them too much because they're at critical stages, especially kids who are like in Form 3, Form 4, like GCSE time and doing their curriculum for GCSE or even A level, I would say don't disrupt them unnecessarily if you can. And they're in a good school, a good boarding that you're happy with, maintain that, but get the visa. So you can apply for the visa, and then the children can come on holiday. And then when you're extending, you extend for them. You explain that they're being educated in a boarding school in Africa or in India or wherever. And then that helps you to be able to manage that transition for them. So that's another option. If your child comes here and I think that's great. I think that answers that. Sandra Mavunda, you've asked a question which I'll answer. You've said, very informative. So what's the best option moving with the kids the first time you move abroad, or take them when I've settled and familiar with the place? Which one is cheaper? So I would say definitely come first, yeah, unless you've got a sponsor or a hospital or someone who's offering accommodation for everybody. But if you don't, then definitely come you as the principal sponsor. But what I would say is don't leave it too long, yeah, and then set up work so that you can set up your house, and for them to be able to come, research on the area, research on the schools, find out from colleagues at work, find out which are the good schools, ask questions. I've got my kids, they're coming, these are their ages, what do you guys think? So because people who've lived here will also be able to give you better information. And then once you're settled, if you give yourself a time, maybe 6 months or so, then they join you. So, but you can, I would say that's probably sensible, and that's the best thing to do, than that everybody on the day that you're coming. So when I said don't be like me and leave your child at the airport who you're breastfeeding, if you've got a baby, maybe just allow that baby to grow a little bit before you make that big move, and then maybe or you can, yeah, allow maybe just timing is key as well in decisions that we make, isn't it? When we think about it, timing is really important. But I would say yeah, definitely, I hope that's answered your question. So come, settle, then bring them, but bring them quick. Don't leave it for years. Just bring them as quickly as you can. And a single parent coming to do care work to bring an 8-year-old child with them, yes, I would say bring them. But first of all, maybe when you come, if you've got someone to leave them with in Zim, leave them with somebody, a mom or your sister for a while. Come in, get your house, find out about schools, get everything in order. Find out about your friends who you're working with, who's got children similar ages. Try and have a system in place so that you're able to, when they come, it's easy for you to manage the childcare and working. So as a single mom coming on your own and doing care work, you might have early starts. It depends what type of care work you're doing. If you're doing domiciliary care, if you're doing if it depends what type of work you're doing, shift work. So you need to perhaps get yourself into a routine, but quickly, and then you can be able to bring them. So what I want to encourage you is, don't leave them for long periods of time. So maybe if you leave them for 3 to 6 months, it's okay. But if you leave them for years and you say, I'm leaving them, I'll get them when they're 18 or whenever, there could be a lot of damage that's happened. And I'm just thinking, I'm going to ask Sandra if she can maybe do a live on the impact on psychologically, how it helps, how it affects them, so that we understand the challenge really, and how it can affect them even long term in things that they do, and why that attachment is so important. So yes, I would say you can, but first of all, just make sure that you know what you're going to do around childcare. It's not easy, it's challenging. To have an 8-year-old when you're on your own and you're doing care work. But if you've got family, if you've got people, if you've already got family here, you can try and help each other. And if you stay near each other, when you're looking for jobs and you've got family here, it's better if you stay near to each other, because then you can help each other with other people as well. That's great. Masivanda, you've asked, please advise on how do you think toddlers at rate of adaptation is based on your experience? I don't know, the rate of adaptation for toddlers. My little boy came here as a toddler, so I didn't leave him for that long. I left him for a short time, for about a year and a bit. When he came, he adapted quite well, but he struggled with language, because at home we were speaking Shona. And then at school they were speaking English, and he didn't manage to learn the 2 languages. So he was quite violent. He was quite aggressive at school, because he would speak to them in Shona, they wouldn't answer. So he would hit them because they weren't responding. So I think he had a bit of trouble at nursery adapting to the language, and that was one challenge. And so in the end, we ended up speaking to him in English at home so that his speech would improve at school, and he was able to speak to the others in English. That's what we started doing. And then we ended up not teaching him Shona properly. So he's not very happy with us. Why didn't you teach me Shona when I was growing up? So now he's trying to catch up and we're teaching him. But it's that was one challenge, was language, because we were really trying to teach Shona as a first language, but it didn't work out well because of school. Then we reverted to English. So that was one aspect of adaptation that was challenging for a toddler. And even just, I think, the adaptation of not having, I think that was one. I think otherwise they adapt fairly quickly. Children are quite resilient and strong, and they adapt quite fast. I think the ones who maybe adapt, where the adaptation for them is a bit more challenging, is teenagers, or even 10, 11 years, especially when they value friends a lot and they're uprooted from their friends. Maybe that's an area where it's a bit challenging, and school and fitting in and accents and things like that, because that can be quite challenging for children. Great. So I was going to talk about bringing adult children. I think I will just for 5 minutes or so, and then I'll head off. So children who are adults, who are over 18. So say a carer has got children aged 3, 5, and 18, or 19, and they all live at home, they're at school or college. I would encourage you to apply for all of them, and with the one who's over 18, to explain that they're dependent on you, they live in the house with you, their relationship with their siblings, provide proof of that, show evidence that they're part of the family, they're not living an independent life, they're dependent on you. And although they say in the rules that for children who are 18 and under, but I've had a lot of experience with making applications for children over 18, which have been successful. Others have been refused. We've done administrative review, and they've been granted, where we've been able to show that they're part of the family, they're totally dependent on their parents, and they'll have no one if they live by themselves. So we've had some really good success with that. So don't be put off. Definitely apply for all of the children, but not like Zidara 30, no. Like 19, 20, maybe 21. Apply for them and put in all the evidence and get advice. So when you've got something which is a bit complex like that, I would say always just seek legal advice, get advice from a lawyer, ask them to give you advice around that, so that you can bring you can get advice before you give up. So the rules are there, but you can always add evidence about your circumstances and your situation, especially with children, or children who are, maybe you have a child who's disabled, dependent on you, who's dependent. Maybe they're not in education, but they're disabled, or they've got medical problems or anything. So make sure that you put all the information when you're applying for the children who are over 18. It is possible. Don't just leave them. So yes, but it's good to get advice around that. If you're refused, then it can be challenged. I've had some good success with that. So yeah, so I think I've answered that, all the questions that we've got there. If you've got any other questions, you can always I don't promise to always respond to direct messages in Messenger, because we're quite sometimes it's busy, and I may not be able to get back to you. Even members of our team, we're quite busy, but we will try to. So what we do here at Tulia, I explained at the beginning, is we support migrants of African origin living in the United Kingdom. We give advice, so legal advice, which is paid for, but we also do some work which is not paid for, so charitable work, where we give advice to people who are destitute, people who who are facing domestic violence, people who are facing relationship breakdown. We support people and give pro bono advice. We support people with accommodation. And we have peer support groups of people who support each other as well. So we currently we've got a campaign where we are looking for. So some people who come to England, they don't have papers. So like, you know, the next couple of weeks, I'm talking all about people who are coming in from outside, the different routes, and next week I'll be talking about a different visa. But we're talking about people who are coming in, but our work is people who are here who face difficulty and crisis. So we support people, mainly people who are here, but we help people coming in as well. And some of it is to try and prevent people from getting into the challenges that they're facing here. So we advocate for safe routes to the UK. We advocate for safe migration through work, through family reunion, through all forms which are legal, so that we have less people who are coming here in illegal ways. And then to avoid the problems of living here illegally. It's not easy to be living in the UK illegally. There's people who are coming here now who are just coming with their 5 years. 5 years they've got their indefinite, but there's people who've lived here for 20 years who don't have papers. 20 years they haven't seen their children. 20 years they've never left the UK. 20 years they don't work and they can't get benefits and they're homeless. So those are the people that we support through our charitable arm. So our work is we're a community interest company. So we do some work that we charge, which is to make income, and then we do other work which we fund through some of our surplus, but we also have grants where we partner with other organizations like Heart of England, like ROSA, like Birmingham City Council, UK Youth Fund. We've had so many supporters and sponsors, the National Lottery. So we have so many people who work with us and we partner, and then we provide support for those who are unable to get that. So that's the work that we do. So these education lives that we do are also preventative, so that people have got the information that they need before making the big move, or thinking of what things can we think of, so that we don't fall into some of the challenges that we have had. So we are so that's the work that we do here. And this live is part of under our pillar, which is educate. And that's why we do that, to have these conversations where we speak about some of the issues and topics. And so we see that there's a big shift of migration right now. And so these are some of the things that we want people to think about, like the children, like the relationships, because those are things that affect people and can lead even to losing visas, because some people will come together, husband and wife, they don't start getting along because of whatever issues, children, childcare, stress, household, relationship breaks down, the husband has the visa, the wife is a dependent, moves out, then we are able then to support. Or it's the husband who's kicked out because the wife has got the visa, and some people end up destitute, some people end up living on the street, some people end up alone. And that's where we come in and try and help and support people with advice, signposting, or in some situations we accommodate people as well. So that's the work that we do. We also accommodate young unaccompanied children who come here by themselves, and we support them. So that's so we are not just we just don't give advice, we give well-rounded support. That's why you see it seems like we do a lot of things, but yeah, that's what we do at Tulia. Tulia means settled, to settle, kugarika, kugara shakanaka in this country. And it's everything that affects how you live, not just your job or your visa, but all the different aspects of your life. And so that's why we're talking about these issues. So I hope that has been helpful. Thank you very much for coming to listen to me. It's so good to have people listening. And please, may you share, may you like. I'll post our video on there. If you'd like to find out more about our work, please contact us. We always look for volunteers, we look for donations, we look for people who would like to support the work that we do in any way. And if you need advice and you're paying, know that some of the fees that you're paying are also going to help somebody else who is less fortunate than you. So that's all for today. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend, and good luck to everyone who's applying to come, who's looking for a sponsor, whose family is supporting them and helping them to get a job, who's applying for jobs. Continue on. Someone asked me to talk about teaching and teachers and how teachers can come, so I will do that, and I'll do a live on that later. If there's anything that you think that you would like information on, please do not hesitate to suggest, and we will be really happy to do that for you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Bye bye.